In another example of how personal data is obtained from our devices, digital devices, let's just take a quick look at how data is extracted from apps. And this is going to go through a story by someone named Tim. And Tim is a hacker, programmer, someone who's been looking into these issues for a long time. And he set himself up to buy his own data once he learned through suspicion that something funny was going on with the apps on his smartphone. So he learned about a massive data leak, and this is an American case where a massive amount of data was stolen from a known company, an aggregator of data, and it went in the news, which became kind of known, at least at the community of people around these topics. And what he wondered then was whether he could actually buy his own data. And he did that by actually looking into a the records of the data that an app he was using was taking from somewhere in the memory. And what he found after extensive experiments and tryouts was the following. He found that from his phone, his location and IP address had been sent out by an app, things that could be turned into geolocation information. He learned also about something called real-time bidding, and that would happen in auctions where data was being traded. And he was shocked by the amount of types of data sent by by the bids at places called ad exchanges. And eventually he gave up on the idea of purchasing his own data, as the offers would involve him paying thousands of dollars, and he probably wasn't interested in getting that far. So he was using a game called Stack by Ketchup, and he found that this is the type of data that has been that was being sent out. So this is a JSON data file where you could just by inspection sort of understand a few things, but let's just leave it there, and we'll return to this later. He also found that it was Unity, the game company, that was the one receiving or asking for that data, which seemed strange to him until he found that Unity is a big player, and actually Unity has a branch called Unity Ads. And this is, again, another format for another example of data being retrieved from his phone. So what is the story? The story is that it's something called programmatic advertising in the digital advertising industry. So originally, and this is the basic problem, there's someone who needs to advertise something, and there's someone who's willing to publish the ad. So we have a relation between advertiser and publisher that happened as a direct relation for many years in a non-digital era. But as the digital era started to develop big time, uh, there were parties interested to place themselves in the middle, called ad networks. So advertisers and publishers are being mediated by someone called ad network, an example of which is Google Display Network. Well, it's still around, but it's under another name. So as this business grew, many more ad networks started to be intermediaries between advertiser and publishers. So you would go to one of these to find where to publish. But the publishers that at the beginning were big websites and well-known websites started to diversify because blogs and websites and general websites and others were also potential places for displaying ads. And nowadays, practically any website is showing you ads. So that's a result of all these things. So in the next step, as this started to consolidate, another player was introduced called Ad Exchange, and Google Ad Manager was a big example and continues to be a big player under a different name. And the sophistication of all this led to new players called supply side platforms to be the intermediaries between the ad exchange and another group of players called demand side platforms. So in the end, what happens here is that the data that is taken somehow from somewhere, which is basically us, ends up here at the ad exchange being supplied, offered by these guys who have been collecting it uh, in favor or on behalf of all these ad networks and being traded on so-called real-time bidding or auctions that would be that would be purchased by demand-side platforms. So advertisers would find the way to place their ads eventually on the website. Now, from the moment that a spot is located at a blog by software on your device, till the moment when the advertiser is actually displaying the ad, no more than 1 second would happen. No more than 1 second. So this is the speed of things, with the auction happening in terms of microseconds. So this is a very sophisticated chain that is already reaching the $900 billion worldwide. Not all that value is being traded in auctions, but probably 2/3 of that is happening at ad exchanges, of which Google is the main player. So this is, if we streamline that idea, this is what we have. Advertisers, publishers, DSP, SSP, and the ad exchange. So let's go back to how Tim, what got Tim's attention. First, that he could see that some domain name was being included in the information that was retrieved from his phone. And that's the app or website where the ad will be displayed. That was a real one. And also something called Moloko ads, which he had no idea about at the time. And that would be the SSP that would be offering his data or the data in his phone over to the to the ad exchange for the auction. And this is another identification for the one that is actually selling the data. So basically, that is what he found, which seems strange to him. And down here, although not highlighted, is the longitude and latitude. That is basically his position, his physical position that he that he enabled in his phone. And remember that we can disable this if we wish from our phones. But at the time of this sample, this was this information, which doesn't show here because he just redacted it, is not being shown, but that's an example of what's going on there. So in summary, Unity Ads is a supply-side platform that acts as a collector of data from the app via a software development kit. And an app developer just installs that and receives the money. So there's a big incentive for developers to not only to write their software for the game they are creating or the app they're creating, but also to pull down the SDK from Unity, put it there, because Unity would eventually pay some of the money they get from selling the data to the developers, and you don't know anything about it. And it's all happening because of you, because you're producing the data as you move, as you interact with the app, etc. Moloco Ads is on the other side, is a demand side platform. I think I said SSP before. No, that's a demand side platform that resells the data from all those multiples SSP. So basically that Moloco Ads is the one buying and it's selling it to the advertisers uh, by aggregation, of course. And it is and is these are agents, participants in this value chain that introduce a lot of efficiency into this market. Okay, so real-time bidding is how these things happen. Advertising inventory is bought and sold on a per impression basis. That means that, yep, yours is valuable. The money may be little, but every single person's space on their phone matters. And that's what the impression means. That there's a place there to be for an ad to be put. And this happens via instantaneous programmatic auction, which is basically what I explained before. So just revisiting this thing, it begins with the user visiting a website or you using your app on your smartphone. And that triggers a bid request that can include various pieces of data, such as the user's demographic information, browsing history, location, and the page being loaded. All of that, or the examples that we saw a few slides ago, the request goes from the publisher to the ad exchange, with the publisher being the app, basically, or the website. And in your case, in our case, it's our device, but we have no idea. Well, we eventually know because we see the ads, but we have no idea what's going on behind that. And the publisher, the exchange submits it, and they accompanying data to multiple advertisers who automatically submit bids in real time to place their ads. Those advertisers are bidding on each ad impression through they do it directly on the ad exchange or through companies like Moloco Ads. And that's how it happens. So money flows to the seller, and the ad goes all the way back to the place where it's meant to go. Now, obviously, this is a more targeted, more efficient way of reaching a particular individual, given some clues about where they are or what they're doing, what we are and what we are doing. So this is what happens in summary. You can see the steps that I just mentioned with the involvement of SSPs and ad exchanges and DSPs from the moment the web page is detected or shown to the world to the moment when the ad is put into the user's site. Now, the entire process takes less than 1 second, actually 1/10 of a second, 100 milliseconds, and is repeated every time and keep going and going and going. We're talking about billions or trillions of auctions every day, which means billions of dollars every year. Okay, let's stop there. This is another example of how our data is being grabbed and a huge market has been created.